With your mother, you're careful and composed. With your friends, you're the fast talker, always the funny one. At work, you're calm, unreadable. Different tone, different posture, different jokes, different silences. Each version calibrated precisely to whichever person happens to be standing in front of you. And somewhere between all these versions, quietly switching from one face to the next, there's a question you rarely let yourself actually ask. Which one of these is actually you? The question sits there, mostly ignored because answering it honestly feels strangely, uncomfortably difficult right now. If you've ever performed a slightly different person for every relationship you have, this video explains exactly why and what happened underneath. Picture your day. Morning call with your mother, careful and reassuring. Afternoon with friends, loud and easy. Evening meeting, composed and precise. Each shift happens instantly, almost invisibly. The moment context changes, tone adjusts, posture adjusts, even your laugh sounds slightly, subtly different each time. You've gotten remarkably skilled at reading exactly which version each person expects, then becoming that version almost before you've consciously decided to. Late at night, alone, you sometimes wonder which reactions were genuinely yours and which were simply the correct performance for whoever was watching. You can't always answer that clearly. The boundary between adapting naturally and disappearing entirely has become surprisingly, disturbingly hard to locate now. Friends from different parts of your life would barely recognize each other's version of you if they somehow ended up in the same room. This isn't simply being adaptable. It's something more specific and considerably heavier. Understanding it starts with understanding what constant adjustment quietly costs. Psychologists sometimes describe this as fragmented self-presentation, a pattern where identity organizes primarily around each relationship rather than remaining stable underneath. This differs from ordinary social flexibility, which everyone naturally has. Here, the shifting feels less like adjusting slightly, more like changing entirely. This usually develops when different relationships require genuinely different versions of you to stay safe, approved of, or simply reliably accepted. Maybe one household member needed calm, another needed humor, a third needed competence. You learn to supply whichever version kept things stable. Over time, these separate versions became genuinely practiced, distinct, and automatic, each one activating instantly, contextually, without requiring much conscious thought. The core self, meanwhile, received far less practice, far less attention, and gradually became the least developed, least familiar version of anyone. This creates a specific kind of quiet disorientation because the most rehearsed parts of you were never actually fully your own choosing. Here is what happens inside someone who develops this pattern. Every relationship essentially receives a custom-built version, tailored to its specific requirements. This requires real skill, reading unspoken expectations accurately, adjusting quickly, and maintaining each separate version convincingly, often across the very same day. Children who grow up around unpredictable or demanding adults often develop this skill early, sensing precisely which version keeps everyone comfortable nearby. Each successful adjustment reinforces the same lesson. Safety depends on becoming whatever this particular person specifically needs you to be right now. The authentic self doesn't disappear entirely. It simply stops being consulted regularly because consulting it rarely determined how any interaction actually unfolded. Eventually, switching between versions becomes so smooth, so instant, that you may lose track of which reactions originated from genuine feeling. And here's something worth remembering because we'll return to it directly. This adaptability reflects extraordinary relational intelligence, not a fractured or absent identity. As an adult, this often means struggling to answer simple questions about your own preferences because the answer depends on which version is active. You may notice exhaustion after switching contexts repeatedly, or a strange emptiness in moments when nobody specific requires any particular version of you. You see it in the person who becomes noticeably quieter around one parent and considerably louder around the other, without consciously choosing either shift. You see it in the coworker who feels almost like two different people at work and at home, each version fluent, convincing, distinct. You see it in the friend who agrees enthusiastically with whichever group they're currently in, genuinely unsure which opinion actually belongs to them. You see it in the person who feels a flash of panic when two separate friend groups accidentally meet, unsure which version to bring. You see it in the one who can't answer what music they like, because the answer changes depending entirely on who happens to be asking. You see it in the partner who becomes an entirely different person after a phone call from a parent, tone and posture instantly shifting. You see it in the person who feels most like themselves, specifically when alone, yet can barely describe who that particular version actually is. You see it in the one who dreads unstructured time because, without a specific audience requiring a specific version, they feel oddly, unsettlingly blank. And you see it in the quiet loneliness of being fluent in dozens of relationships, while remaining a genuine stranger to yourself underneath them all. Something mentioned earlier deserves a second look now. This adaptability actually reflects extraordinary relational intelligence, not a fractured or missing identity underneath. Reading a room accurately, adjusting tone instantly, sensing exactly what someone needs from you. That requires real skill, not simple emptiness or absence. You didn't develop dozens of faces randomly. You developed them because different people genuinely require different things, and you learn to provide them. That capacity for attunement is not the problem here. The problem is that one version you own rarely gets built with the same care. Here's the reframe worth sitting with. You're not missing a self underneath the versions. You simply never got equal practice building that particular one. Every other version exists because you paid close attention to someone else's needs. The same attentiveness, redirected inward, could finally build this one too. You are not a collection of masks hiding an empty center. You're someone remarkably skilled at connection, whose own version simply needs deliberate practice. So what does building that version actually look like? It begins small, noticing which reactions happen automatically and which ones feel genuinely, quietly yours. It means spending small amounts of unstructured time completely alone, without performing for anyone, simply noticing what surfaces without an audience present. It means practicing consistency across different relationships sometimes, letting the same honest reaction show up with your mother, your friends, your coworkers. It means tolerating the discomfort of some people, preferring an earlier, more tailored version, understanding that consistency costs certain kinds of easy approval. This skill kept every relationship stable for a long time. It was resourceful, adaptive, and genuinely necessary. But one version deserves that investment now, because underneath every face you've ever worn, there was always someone real. That person simply needs the same attention you've given everyone else.